Okay, this video is all about the frog's internal anatomy, and you're going to see that we have a lot of similarities to our own human internal anatomy, which is why I had you do a quick review before we moved on to the frog, so you could compare. Okay, so what we're going to do is you want to take a minute to sketch out just like a rough frog body. I mean, really, it's just kind of a big oval with some legs. We're going to diagram in here, so make sure that you give yourself enough room to draw and then enough room to label on the sides. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw it in black, and then I'm going to go over it with colors to represent the different systems within the frog. We're going to diagram the circulatory system, the respiratory system, the digestive system, and then kind of the endocrine system, the liver, pancreas, and gallbladder, which are part of the digestive system, but they're also glands. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is the frog's circulatory system. Frogs as adults have a 3-chambered heart. They have 2 atriums and then 1 ventricle. Humans have a 4-chamber heart. We have 2 atriums and we have 2 ventricles. Frogs, when they are larvae, when they are tadpoles, only have a 2-chambered heart, just like a fish does. So their heart is going to be roughly in the same place ours is relative to our body, and it's going to have 2 atriums and then 1 ventricle down here. So we have a left and a right atrium and then a ventricle. So we're going to mark 2 atriums in the heart and then 1 ventricle, also part of the heart. So these together make up the heart. Now, there are going to be several arteries coming off of this heart, going all the way throughout the body. We'll probably draw another artery somewhere down here after we get the digestive system in, just to demonstrate that they all really do go all over. So what I'll do is I'll just mark this as an artery. And that is pretty much the circulatory system. So now we'll move on to let's do the respiratory system next. The respiratory system is what they use to breathe, and frogs have lungs. They have to breathe air, and they have 2, they're going to look like brown little raisins in the very back, deep in, packed in under the heart and under the liver. So there's going to be a lung back here, and then a lung on this side. So these are going to be the lungs. So I will point to both of them. Lungs goes there and there for the lungs. And so obviously those attach to the glottis from the top of the mouth, and they're responsible for breathing. All right, the next thing we're going to look at is the digestive system. And the digestive system looks extremely similar to ours in that there is an esophagus that comes down underneath everything. I'll draw it here, into a rather large stomach. They have a little sac of stomach. So we have the esophagus here. The mouth goes into the esophagus. We drew the opening of the esophagus here. Here's the stomach. And then the stomach goes into a squiggly small intestine. So I'll get that on there. My artistic skills are not very good, I am aware. So this is the small intestine here. And it goes into the large intestine. And finally, the general opening where all waste is excreted as well as reproduction occurs is called the cloaca. And it is a single opening. We will mark it right here. All right. So that is the digestive system, and it is extremely similar to ours. Okay, the next system we will draw is the last part that we will put in is those glands that I was talking about, the liver and the pancreas and the gallbladder, of which we have all of those as well. In the frog, you'll find the most prominent organ is in fact the liver. It kind of goes, it's going to cover everything in this general area. So I will just draw it here. Here's one lobe of the liver, and here is another lobe of the liver. So this is the liver. And the liver is responsible for filtering blood and adding enzymes to aid in digestion. You will also find underneath the liver, there'll be this little green ball, and it's the gallbladder. And the gallbladder does the same thing that our gallbladder does. It, again, aids in digestion. Underneath the stomach here, you will find a gland, which is the pancreas. And then finally, tucked under, kind of in this general area, you will find a little round, dark red organ, and that is the spleen. All right. Packed up underneath the stomach, towards the back, towards the spine of the frog, you will find a set of kidneys. So I'm actually going to draw them a little bit lower than they are. They're kind of oblong on either side of the spine. You'll find kidneys. And those kidneys filter out all of the liquid waste, and those kidneys lead to a bladder. And that bladder collects urine, and then it's going to go out that same exit as the solid waste does, the cloaca. All right, and there is one more thing that we need to label, and you'll see this when you dissect your frog, is there's something called mesentery. And mesentery is a very thin, clear membrane, almost looks like plastic wrap. And it keeps that small intestine all in. So there's going to be just kind of this membraney substance that's going to keep it all together. So that is called the mesentery. So now if we go back through with some colors. Oh, I did say I was going to draw another artery in here. We're going to have another artery kind of coming out in this general area. I mean, they're all over the frog's body, and you'll also notice that there's a whole bunch of blood vessels within the thin skin. You can see them. The skin is green, but you can see a whole bunch of red coming through, which helps the frog breathe. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each color, and I'm going to draw through, and that way we can kind of identify those different systems. So I'm starting with red for blood for the circulatory system. The heart is red, pumps blood, and those arteries are going to go all throughout the frog, but I like to put one down low just to be aware of that. So the circulatory system is red. Now we'll do the respiratory system. I like to make that blue kind of signify air. All right, and all that is going to be the lungs here. But we know that the lungs work with the circulatory system to help oxygenate add oxygen to the blood. All right, so the respiratory system. My pencil is not working. Respiratory system. Got it. Okay. The next system we'll do is, I'll make it green, and this will be the digestive system. So the digestion starts up here at the esophagus, comes down the esophagus into the stomach, through the small intestine where all of the nutrients are absorbed from the food. Water is being removed just like our digestive system. Into the large intestine where digestion is finished. And then finally, out the cloaca. The next organs we will label will be the liver, the spleen, the pancreas, and the gallbladder. I'm going to color those purple because even though they aid in digestion, they really do more things than just that. So the liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas, and the spleen down here. And then the last I'll label in orange will be the kidneys, and the bladder for our renal system. All right, and that, along with the mesentery, that membrane that holds all those small intestines in, is the anatomy of the frog.